All right. Hey, welcome to this week's episode of the Angry Geeks. I am your host, Louis Perry. It's still on hiatus. Once again, that Wonder Woman Jamie Dolan, but I assure you, she will be back shortly. With me right now is the one and only Marvel Comics legend, DC Comics Aquaman, DC Comics The Green Lantern, my good buddy, the one and only Joe St.Pierre, creator of the new Zodiacs and Journey Under the Arctic. Did I say that right?
You sure did. What's up, buddy?
I did. Oh my god! I only did
Good
the
to see
video.
you.
I don't know why I couldn't.
You only
Anyway.
sent that video home, added all the extra spice. I appreciate it. Thank you for being part of that. It's very
Yes.
cool.
So now all I got to do is donate to the Kickstarter, and I'll be a pretty 100.
Look at this. Here's some graphics for you.
Yeah, you just went totally
homemade.
So let me ask you a question. When I did the video, I was guessing at almost everything except for the polar bear. That's the only creature that I knew. The rest of the thing I was, when you were like, as you're going through your Kickstarter video, you were like, oh, the puffles and this, and I'm like,
the puffles
that looks
and
like
the
a
nickels.
Puffle? Was I close at least?
I'm pretty sure you got them all right. Yeah, I think I numbered the files so they were in order. If you laid them in order, you didn't. Why follow numerical order anyway? You just did your thing. It worked out. It looked great to me. So.
I was just. I did. I was just like, okay, all right.
I like this one.
Yes, exactly.
It's good. Let's zoom in on this one. Okay, yeah, sure. Let's zoom out on this one. Yep. I hope it's a nipple or a nickel or a puffin or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it was.
Beluga.
The only thing that I knew was you said, and first graphic, last graphic. I was like, the rest of them's gonna be a crap.
Everything else. Slap them in there.
Pretty much. All right, so
it looked great to me. I really appreciate it. It's very cool.
Pleasure. It's always.
So it sounds like if you read this book, you'd learn a lot about Arctic animals.
I better pick up the book because you never know when I'm going to go to the Arctic and might have to.
Could happen. It could happen.
So you've been working on this one project for an awful long time. It's finally wrapped up. The book is coming out. What brought you to this? I mean, not just saying, hey, you're Joe St.Pierre, can you draw this book? Was there anything that you were like, oh my God, I really want to work on this, I have to work on this? Or did you just approach it as another job, as another commission?
No, it's like I've always been on the hunt for some kind of educational project, something for young readers, because when I was a young reader, I learned how to read through comics. It's like I learned words like metropolis and amazing, astonishing, barbarian, words like that. I learned all those words by reading comics. And at a very young age, I was kind of considered an advanced student. That all fell apart as I got older. But at an early age, I was, I was a fairly advanced reader. And the main reason for that is because I was reading comic books. Mm-hmm. And so I was just devouring them. I read everything, not just like Spider-Man and Captain America, but I used to read like Hot Stuff, Harvey comics, and Sad Sack comics, and Donald Duck comics. So I was just like soaking all that stuff in, no matter what. And ever since then, I've been an advocate for, pictures plus text equals reading equals learning. Mm-hmm. And I found that as I got older, I would learn better if I had pictures with text. I could somehow remember things better. A lot of people make fun of me because I,
Your
write on
hair.
my hand. No, my hand.
Oh,
I write on my hand a lot for like notes, and
yeah.
a lot of times, I'll like I have a visual of my hand with that note on it in my brain, so I remember things better. And so I've always been on the hunt for some kind of project that I felt was educational and was kind of mainstream. And when this came along, I was like, it's got the Cousteau family name involved. Jacques Cousteau is a famous undersea explorer and TV star, and his grandson Fabien is the star of this book, and he's kind of a TV star too, an advocate for the environment and stuff like that. So I was like, I like the combination of these things. I like the potential for this to be a decent seller. So I took the gig. It's a series. It's a 4-book series. And the first one came out last year. It was called The Great White Shark Adventure.
Yeah,
And
because
this new,
Jamie talked to you about that at Empire State.
that
Yeah.
sounds familiar. Yep.
Yeah.
And the new one is called The Journey Under the Arctic. And so that comes out in March 13th, I believe.
Mhm.
And so the Kickstarter is to kind of help generate pre-orders and to kind of offer an opportunity for people who support the book early to get extra stuff. And I set the Kickstarter really low. Just, it's all about selling the books. It's not, I don't need to, generate funds for the printing or the production. That's all taken care of by the publisher. Simon & Schuster is publishing the book. So I just wanted to help sell books and help get the word out. I thought Kickstarter would be a good way to do it. And
Oh yeah.
talking to people like you help spread the word. So
What makes a
that's
successful Kickstarter? I mean, you had quite a many of them. What is in your opinion, what is the key to have a successful Kickstarters? Because Kickstarters come and go. We have some that just about make it and then it falls apart, and some that can't even get off the ground. In
yeah.
your expertise, what is the perfect recipe for the perfect Kickstarter? Is there anything you can offer anyone?
If you're talking about comics, graphic novels kind of stuff, or just Kickstarters in general,
Just Kickstarter in general. I mean, all the
I would,
Kickstarters that I am involved in, of course, are comics, because this is,
yeah,
comics is my life. This is my passion, my world, per
yeah,
se.
yeah.
So I never I never ever seen a Kickstarter for anything else other than comics.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, I've kind of ventured out beyond comics. I would say that if you want to generate a popular Kickstarter of any kind, it helps to have subject matter that people are interested in. And in the case of comics, for me, I always had a successful Kickstarter when the project was complete. So when I did New Zodiacs, the first printing, the book was finished. I had released 4 issues of the miniseries, and the material was complete. All I had to do was assemble it into a trade. And so when I ran the Kickstarter to raise funds for the trade on New Zodiacs, it was successful. And I attribute that to having them. There's low risk on the Kickstarter person, on the pledger's end. There's no risk, or minimal risk at least. You don't have to wait 6 years for the material to be produced, that kind of stuff. So for me, successful Kickstarters are when the material is complete. I find that Kickstarter people, they don't want to pay for labor. But again, that's my experience. If I put up a Kickstarter tomorrow for the next book and it wasn't even started yet, I don't think I would meet my goal.
Okay. All right.
So that's the idea. So the Journey Under the Arctic, like I said, it's a complete book. I'm holding the advanced copy in my hand. This book is
Mhm.
coming out, whether there's a successful Kickstarter or not. So I thought that let's kind of generate some interest of some kind, and what can I do as co-creator of the series to kind of help pre-sales on the book? And my solution was add some extras to the purchase. When you buy the book, you get trading card set, like I have some of these make readies right now. You get a trading.
It is the polar bear. I knew that one.
You knew that one. Do you know this one?
Which
This is a
one? Let me see.
clione. He's like a microscopic animal that lives under the ice, just under the ice. You know what a narwhal is, right?
I guessed it.
And
So,
here's your favorite, the puffer,
yeah, the
also known as
puffer.
a puffin.
Now, for those of you that are watching public access and on YouTube and Facebook, and for those of you that are listening on the Earplug Podcast Network, now Joe just held up a card. For those of you watching, you've seen it says Puffle or Puffin, whatever it says on the
Puffin.
bottom, next to
Puffin.
Joe's finger.
Yes. Yes.
The picture I got of that did not say that. So when I saw that video, I was guessing. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with the one and only Joe St.Pierre. Stop. All right. Welcome back from the longest break ever here on the Angrygeeks Show. I have to say one thing about Joe. Joe is one of my favorite guests of all time. He's been here live in the Geek Lair a few times. He's been on the show more times than almost anybody that I can
More times than
Yes,
almost anybody?
Okay. You are the biggest clown I ever had a discussion with on camera. Or just plain on the mic. I can never get nothing done. I'm constantly laughing. You don't correct me until after I get something I think it's great. So I want to give you kudos to that, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you for always being a pleasurable guest as well. So anyway, how are we promoting this book? You have con appearances coming up. You're going to be at the South Coast Toy and Comic Book Show in just a couple of weeks. Store signings. This is up in the air yet as still. Anything that we can do? Could we call up different bookstores, comic shops? Can we call up the local Barnes and Noble, the local Target, the local Walmart, or what have you, and say, hey, if you're going to be selling this book, can you get Joe St.Pierre there? Can you get Fabien there? Can we do that? Is that recommended, or would the publisher be angry?
I think any kind of word of mouth promotion, that kind of grassroots kind of approach, it can't be a bad thing for sure. Okay. The last book, the publisher Simon and Schuster, they had a small promotional tour for Fabien because he's an international TV star, celebrity. So I think he did a number of signings. One was up here in New Hampshire last year. I'm not sure if they'll do that again, but the truth of the matter is that even big name publishers don't have a lot of money for promotion. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm running the Kickstarter now. It's like, this is all about me doing what I can do to kind of promote the book, to get the word out. You know, I didn't bust my hump for a year working on this book so that I could sell no copies. You know, so it's up to me, I feel, as part of one of the creators of this series, to kind of do my part. And the first thing I thought of was to tap, the people who know me as, in the comic book industry. Some of those people, they go to Kickstarter. They supported me on Kickstarter on my own independent projects. And this is kind of an indie project plus, it's funded as far as publishing goes, but it still needs that kind of fan support. And so there must be people that know my work, from Spider-Man, from Venom, from Green Lantern. There must be people out there who either have children or who know children, or maybe they have kids in their family who have trouble reading, or just people in their family who like Arctic animals. I'm not picky. So it's like there's a lot of reasons why, it might be cool to pick this book up or to tell people about it. And so my first approach, my first idea was, let's tap some of my fans that I already know that I have. We'll run a Kickstarter. We'll set the number really low because it's about selling books. Like I said, I don't have to raise funds for the production of the book or the printing of the book. Let's sell books, and let's kind of have fun with it. Let's provide something in the Kickstarter that you can't get if you go to Barnes and Noble. You can't get a signature with a sketch inside the book by me at Barnes and Noble if you pick it up. You know, by all means, if you decide you want to buy a book at Barnes and Noble, please do that. But the Kickstarter provides an opportunity to get an autographed book with a sketch inside of a Dumbo octopus. That's kind of the hero of the story. That the plot of the story kind of goes like Fabien Cousteau and his crew. They chase down an elusive, a very rare animal. It's called the Dumbo octopus, and the Dumbo octopus is called that because it has kind of large ear pieces or flaps that look like ears on its head, kind of resembling Dumbo the elephant from the Disney character. And so they call it the Dumbo octopus. The crew goes to the Arctic to look for the Dumbo octopus. So he's the hero of the story, the Dumbo is. And so I will do a sketch inside each book of a Dumbo octopus. And so that's a one-of-a-kind thing. That's not something you can get at Amazon. It's not something you can get at Barnes and Noble or Target or Walmart. It's something you can only get through me as the creator of the project, co-creator of the project. Another thing that the stretch goal's already been met, so this is a guarantee that everyone gets a 6-card trading card set that's autographed, signed, and numbered by me. And those are the narwhal animals. Those are the images that I gave you to kind of overcut on the video to kind of voice over. And so these were trading card images: narwhals, puffins, clowns, polar bears, and the elusive Dumbo octopus. There he is right there. So, you know, what other place, what other venue can you get sketch, signature, signed trading cards by pre-ordering the book? None more places.
None more places.
None more places. So I didn't write the book.
Okay, so let's talk about characters in the book. Are they all real life characters, or any of them fictional, like part of the crew? Is there any like little quirky sidekicks or anything like that, or is this all like real, true to life stuff?
Dude, what a great question. I haven't gotten that one yet. That's a great question. Well, Fabien is the only real life human being who has been fictionalized and become a graphic novel hero. Everyone else that he works with in the story is essentially fictional. But that's a great question. It's a fictional story with real life facts featuring a real life TV star explorer. And I can't think of many other real life celebrity types or adventurer types that have been in comics before. The first thing that came to mind was in the early days of Valiant. My first job as a comic book pro was at Valiant. And when I first worked there, they were producing wrestling comics. Speaking of wrestling, did you ever see any of those? So it was like,
I saw some of them. They were larger books.
The magazine size, if I remember right.
The one that I had was I had two of them. One with Macho Man on the front cover, and one the Undertaker was on the front cover.
The Undertaker, yep.
Yes, he was holding a shovel, and it said, "Who could stop the Undertaker?" And out from the side of the page was the Ultimate Warrior's hands saying, "I can, I can." Those are the only two books that I have, and I think I still have them. Not quite sure.
Love it.
Yeah.
So what other real life celebrity types have been fictionalized into graphic novel forms? We've got the wrestling guys, the Undertaker, the Ultimate Warrior.
Evel Knievel.
Evel Knievel's in a comic book?
Yes, he was.
I did not know that.
In the 1970s, it was actually a free comic. If you bought one of his toys, you got this comic. It was produced by Marvel Comics, and then they redid it and put it back on the newsstand, and it was an Evel Knievel comic. Yeah,
no kidding. Never saw that. And the other one I thought of was our boys, whose shirt you're wearing right now.
Yes.
Right.
Well, it's for me though. Kiss were always living superheroes.
Yeah.
If you think about it, the way their on stage persona, even when they were in Scooby Doo and when they had their own movie, they were real
Mm-hmm.
life superheroes. So I
Yeah.
think that's what had drawn me to the band. Being 7, 8 years old, I didn't care about the music. I didn't care about the lyrics of the
Yeah.
music. I
Yeah.
was seeing these guys and seeing them in comics and
Yeah.
their action figures and well, they're Mego dolls at the time. They weren't called
Right.
action figures. It was just like, oh my god, these guys are awesome. You, you, you know, and it's not
Yeah.
till I got into my teen years where I started understanding the lyrics. But it was just these guys were awesome. They were like real life superheroes. So that's yeah. So I would Evel Knievel, Kiss, and
There's
Sergeant
another
Slaughter, another
Sergeant
wrestler.
Slaughter,
Yes,
another
he was brought
wrestler.
into he was brought into GI Joe.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes,
Oh, I didn't
yes,
know
he
that.
was. He was brought into GI Joe. Was actually even animated into the TV series.
Awesome.
I'm
That's
sorry,
very
Joe.
cool.
I am just a fountain of useless information. Let's take another break and we'll be right back.
All right.
And we're back with Joe St.Pierre. Joe, how many Spider-Man comics did you actually say you actually drew?
How many number one Spider-Man comics?
Yeah,
Well, counting covers, I'm at 10.
at 10.
Yes, if you just do the interiors, I'm at 7. So I can't think of anyone else who has penciled that many number one issues. I'm going to stand by my limited research. I know Ryan Stegman's probably up to about 5 or 6, maybe.
Okay.
And Mark Bagley's been around so long that, I think I counted him at 4. And just because he's Mark Bagley, I'll add another couple. But I'm still at, 7 or 10, depending on how you grade.
Okay. So now with the Kickstarter, how many more days do we have with the Kickstarter before
Oh my
people
God, it's
launching?
just begun, dude.
I
Oh
know
my
it's just
God.
well, I need to know this, but by the time this hits television, I don't want anyone.
Yeah, don't put this up in March, okay? This has to go out soon, right?
So it'll be
Okay.
out this week, but I just don't
Okay.
want people calling the TV stations, emailing the Angry Geeks, and going, "Yeah, I tried to do this, and the Kickstarter was closed." And so, what is the range for the Kickstarters? Right, it
Well,
just went up the other day. When does the
yeah,
kick?
today is Sunday. It's not even a weekend yet. I think tomorrow will be day 7. So it ends on the last Friday in February, which I think is the 28th
No, the
of
29th.
February.
Oh no, never mind.
29th is a Saturday,
Yes, I know it's a
if I
weekend.
remember right.
Uh,
So yeah, Friday the 28th it closes. You can go on Kickstarter and search for Journey Under the Arctic, or you can go on my website, which is joestpierre.com, and click on the header. And that'll take you to the site. Or if you're on Facebook and you follow me on Facebook, I post pretty much every day with the link to the Kickstarter. Also on Instagram, if you go on Instagram or Twitter, the link is in the bios. So I tried to cover my bases there, make it easy, and it's going to be fun. So yeah, we're doing trading cards, signed and numbered. I thought it'd be cool to do like there's a cool kind of scene where the submarine, it's called the Sedna kind of goes 5,000 feet below the ocean surface, right?
Now, is
So I
this a
have
real
this.
submarine or something that was created?
I'm pretty sure it's fictional. I don't think a manned sub can go that far yet. I could be wrong about that.
Okay.
So I thought it'd be cool. There's a depth chart, and each time they encounter an animal, there's a depth chart graphic inside. I'm not sure if you can see this. There's a depth chart.
Yep, I see it.
Here the other team is at 50 feet. It's at the surface when they encounter the bowhead whale. Okay, cool. So I thought it might be fun to throw in like a bookmark of a depth chart with all the depths of all the animals in it. We can upgrade from a regular edition to the library edition, which has a dust jacket. That looks kind of like this. It's much more higher end. And once again, you get a sketch inside with a signature by me. There's also an option to get all three signatures. There's myself, of course, and then there's the writer. His name is James Fraioli, and then Fabien Cousteau himself has offered to autograph the book. So there's a pledge level where you can get a triple signature. I call it the triple signature level. So it's kind of cool.
Have
and
you met Fabien?
You'll sign it.
Yes.
You'll sign it too, right?
Yeah, I'll sign it. What the
Okay,
heck?
cool.
Now, have you met Fabien at all?
I have. I met him at one of his signings, the one in New Hampshire he had for the first book. I went up to say hi. I thought, it might be good since we've been working together for a while and we'll continue to work together, that I thought it'd be cool to just introduce myself. He's a very cool guy. I put up some pictures on the social media about the time that I met him. So, yeah, he seems very cool and very dedicated to helping out, environmental education and stuff like that. Something I can get behind.
Okay. Joe, we're just about out of time. Where can people find you? Yeah.
I'm on the Facebook and I'm on.
Forever.
I know. I'm on the Twitter and I'm on the Facebook and
oh my
I'm
God,
on the
you sound
Instagram.
Like my grandmother got rest. Wait, hold on. I'm on the Twitter. I'm on the internets. Joe,
mocking me.
You, please.
Joe.st.Pierre on Instagram. You go to joe.stpierre.com, click on the header image, and it will take you to the Kickstarter. You can also go to the Kickstarter and do a search for either me or Journey Under the Arctic. It'll pop right up. We're 480% past our goal. So we're almost at 500% goal, and pre-order the book now. I'd really appreciate your support. It's very cool. And thanks for having me on, bud. It's always great to hang out.
You're welcome. I am Lewis for Jamie, and we'll catch you right here next week on the Angry Geek Show, exclusively on the Earplug Podcast Network.
You're the best.
Okay.
This has been an Earplug Podcast presentation. Found on earplugpodcast.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and wherever your favorite podcasts are found.